Now, for the last couple of days, as we've had the shutdown, all we've heard from the Republicans is, Democrats won't negotiate. I'm going to prove that wrong in a second. But first, to be absolutely clear, here are the Republicans.
They've now said they won't even agree to sit down and work out differences.
Okay, so let me get this straight. The Republicans are ready to deal. They want to do something. We don't know what exactly, but the Democrats won't even talk.
They also rejected our call to sit down and resolve our differences.
You've got Democrats who refuse to deal with Republicans.
Republicans essentially were negotiating against themselves.
They won't even talk about it.
The Republicans all showed up to negotiate with Democrats. Not a single Democrat showed up.
And they don't even want to talk about it.
The fact that the President of the United States will not negotiate, that Democrats will not negotiate.
My goodness, they won't even sit down and have a discussion.
The Democrats have, and Harry Reid has become Dr. No, essentially.
They seem completely opposed to negotiation or compromise.
He's willing to negotiate with Iran, but he's not willing to negotiate with Republicans.
So you hear over and over again that same talking point that the Democrats won't negotiate. Now, you want to know what the truth is? Well, let me tell you. Now, Tegan Goddard wrote about this. It's an analysis done by Michael Linden and Harry Stein. And they wrote, the Democratic-controlled Senate passed a continuing resolution, a CR, a temporary funding measure, meant to keep the government operating that would set the relevant funding levels at an annualized total of $986 billion. That's about $70 billion less than what the Senate endorsed as part of its comprehensive budget plan back in April. So guess what? It turns out the Democrats already negotiated. They lowered their request by $70 billion. And then, of course, as always, the Republicans turned around and said, not good enough. Now we're going to shut the government down because we want even more. We want you to kill the primary achievement of the Democratic president after you already gave us $70 billion, and then we'll pretend you never negotiated. But this is the problem with the Democrats. They give in the beginning, and then the Republicans say, okay, now here's a new round of us being obstinate jackasses. And the Democrats go, but I already gave you $70 billion. They go, oh, you're not negotiating. Well, you know what? Why don't you be obstinate in the beginning? And that way, they can't throw this charge at you. Why do you ever agree with Republicans? They just take it and they want more and more. The analysis continues. If the Tea Party shuts the government down anyway, it will not be because progressives were inflexible. So they explain that. Now, here's the best proof. They put together a chart of what all the budget proposals were. This is amazing. I love this chart. Take a look here. At the top there you see the original Obama budget. That's for $1.2 trillion, basically. That's for the whole government. You see, for example, in 2010, they enacted spending of $1.185 trillion in spending. Now, here's what's amazing. The original Paul Ryan budget, remember, he's the spending cut guru for the Republicans, was $1.095 trillion, okay? Well, the debt limit compromised in 2011 was $1.066 trillion. The Senate budget in 2014 asked for $1.058 trillion. You see how the number keeps dropping. At this point, the Democratic Senate is lower than Paul Ryan's original request. Paul Ryan, who was draconian in his cuts. The Democratic Senate was below that. Well, they weren't done cutting yet. So the Senate continuing resolution, which now the Republicans are opposed to, brought it all the way back down to $986 billion. Now we're under $1 trillion. So cut after cut after cut. And now the 2014 Ryan budget says, well, okay, then I'm going to go under that. I know you keep giving me what I want. So now it's at $967 billion, which is actually not that far from the continuing resolution that the Democrats in the Senate passed. So did the Democrats concede? Of course they did. Did they negotiate? Are you kidding me? The bottom fell out of the negotiations. They keep giving the Republicans more and more. And this is how the Republicans win. They keep asking for more. The Democrats keep giving it. And then the Republicans go, well, that worked, so I'm going to ask for even more. So yes, they might look like they're extreme right-wingers. They might be hurting their brand a little bit by being so obstinate, by shutting the government down, etc. But there's a reason why they do it, because it leads to policy victories. Whereas the Democrats get political victories from time to time because they seem slightly more reasonable than the Republicans, but they give away the house in policy. They're like, oh, you want to cut spending on the poor, the middle class. You want to keep the giant oil subsidies and the banking favors, etc. Yeah, of course, we'll give it to you. We'll give you all of it. And we'll cut. And then at the end, we'll let you go out to the American people and say, oh, they won't even negotiate. The reality is, the problem with the Democrats isn't that they don't negotiate. It's that they negotiate far too much. They compromise far too much. And every time they do, the Republicans want more. And usually, they get it.